on these notes, okay, me filling these out. So before you do anything, you need to make sure you're done with the previous notes, okay? So make sure you're done with that before you watch this video, okay? I am going to make some highlights on the last two lessons, okay? Since I was unable to make a video over these two, so I'll just talk about a couple things that you should have gotten from these notes, the main things, okay? So with 812, the main thing that you guys should have gotten is the formula at the very bottom here, formula for the interior angle sum of any polygon, okay? So any polygon is basically any, whether it's concave or convex, okay, it works for all polygons. So whether it looks like this or whether it looks like this, it works for all of them, okay? So the formula for that is 180 times n minus 2. So that is your formula for it. So what does n stand for? That stands for your number of sides, okay? The number of sides. So if you have, for example, this shape up here, you have 5 sides, you would plug in 5 in for n in this formula. So you'd say 180 times 5 minus 2. And you normally do this part in your head. You would just say, okay, what's 5 minus 2? Well, that's 3. 3 times 180 is 540. So that would mean that all 5 of these angles, if you added those together, that would equal 540 degrees, okay? And this works, again, like I said, for all polygons, okay? 180 times n minus 2 is the sum of your interior angles, okay? Just another quick example, if you had, I'll just draw it up here, if you just had a square or a rectangle, okay? We know that in a rectangle, these should all be 90, and if you double check your formula, it works. If you do 180 times 4 minus 2, 4 minus 2 is 2, and 2 times 180 is 360 degrees, which is what those 90 degree angles add up to. So it does work, okay? So that was kind of the main idea from 812, and hopefully you guys tried some examples on the back, okay? These ones, you have to plug in, you have to first find your interior angle sum first, and then write an equation. So for example, on this one, the hexagon, you had to figure out that the sum, what is it for a hexagon? Let's see, it's 4 times 180. I'm blanking on that for some reason. Okay, it's 720. Okay, so all 6 of these angles add up to 720. So you would say 6x equals 720, and then you would have solved from there, solved for x. So that's kind of how these examples work. You find your interior sum and write an equation. So hopefully you practice those. Then with 813, again, if you haven't finished these, go ahead and finish these first, and then you can finish watching the rest of this. Okay, so the main thing you should have gotten from 813 is a couple formulas. So the first formula is each interior angle in a regular polygon. So remember, regular means all the sides are equal. Okay, all sides are equal. So if you think about like a regular octagon or a regular hexagon, just all the sides would be the same. Okay, so if you think about it, if I wanted to find each angle in an octagon, a regular octagon, I want to find the sum, and then I want to divide by the number of angles that there are, which is the same as the number of sides. So if there's 8 sides, that's how many angles there are. So our formula for this is the sum, which is 180 times n minus 2, divided by your number of sides. Okay, so that is your formula for each individual angle. So if I wanted to know just that one angle there, I would use this formula. Okay, all right. Then we learned about exterior angles. Again, you should have had these all filled out. An exterior angle is just formed by extending the sides of your polygon. So if you extend that side, that is now an exterior angle. Okay, so those are exterior. And if we look at our sum of the exterior angles of all polygons, if you tried this out with equilateral, regular pentagon, regular octagon, no matter what the shape is, if you add up all of your exterior angles, for example, on the equilateral triangle, it always is 360 degrees. Okay, Okay, that's just how it works. If you add up the exterior angles on a pentagon, it does still work. Okay, and this isn't just for regular polygons. This works for all polygons. Okay, they all add up to 360 degrees. So if I were to draw just a quadrilateral up here, that's just no specific quadrilateral of any sort. Okay, that kind of looks like a trapezoid, but these exterior angles, as long as you stay in the same direction going around, those would add up to 360 degrees. Okay, kind of cool. All right, moving on. Now we should be at 814. So looking at this lesson, I want you guys to try out these first 4 examples, and it should take you around 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, really try them out, work hard, and then I'll go over them. Okay, so normally I would have these formulas written on the board for you, but you can just pause the video here and have these formulas up on the board and use those to help you out. So here's the interior angle formulas, exterior angle formulas. Here's the sum, okay, the sum of your interior angles, sum of your exterior angles. And then here's each angle in regular polygons. Again, this only works for regular polygons. Okay, you just divide each of your formulas by the number of sides. Okay, all right, so pause it here, try out those first examples, and then we'll go over it. All right, so hopefully you tried it out. Let's run through these real quick. So, all right, the first one here, finding the measure of an interior angle given the number of sides. Okay, well, we just want to use our formula. So we take the sum, so 180 times our number of sides minus 2, and then divided by our number of sides. Okay, so with this one, it should be a regular polygon. We're just going to assume that it is on this one. It should be regular. Okay, so you plug in 15. So for this one, interior angle, it should say regular. I'm just going to add that in here because it's bugging me a little bit. So that should say regular. Interior angle of a regular 15 gon, you're going to plug in 15 into this formula. So plug that in. If you do it correctly, you should end up with 156. So make sure you end up with 156. All right, next one. Finding the measure of an exterior angle. Finding the measure of an exterior angle given the number of sides. Okay, well, this one you're just going to, again, it should be a regular polygon. So you're going to say 360 divided by n. That's going to be how you find that each individual exterior angle. So again, I'm going to put regular here. Okay, so if we want a 15 gon, you do 360 divided by 15, and that's going to give you 24. So if we had a 15 gon, if you imagined that in your head, imagine this was a shape that had 15 sides going around. Okay, each exterior angle would measure 24 degrees. Okay, so that's what that's saying. All right, next one. Find the number of sides given the measure of an interior angle. So there's a couple ways you can do this one. The way that I would do this one is I would find your exterior angle first. Okay, so I'm going to write this one out. So find exterior angle first. And then you're going to do 360 degrees divided by that exterior angle. Okay, so let's say your interior angle is 162. What I would do is I would find the exterior angle. And what we know is that the interior angle and the exterior angle have to add up to 180 because they're on a straight line. So if my interior angle is 162, I'm going to take 180 minus 162 to find my exterior angle. Okay, and that's going to give me 18. So now if I take 18, I know that my exterior angles are 18 degrees going around, but I also know they add up to 360 degrees. So I can take 360 divided by 18, and that'll give me my number of sides. So 360 divided by 18, and that gives us 20 sides. 20 sides. There we go. Okay, next one. Finding the number of sides given the measure of an exterior angle. Okay, so we kind of just did that a little bit up here. If you have your exterior angle and you want to know your number of sides, it's kind of the opposite of this formula. You kind of just flip it around, okay? Instead of n, you're going to say exterior angle there. So n is equal to 360 divided by your exterior angle. Okay, because our exterior angles add up to 360 when you combine them. So if you take 360 divided by your exterior angles, that should be your number of sides. Okay, so on this one, we're just going to do 360 divided by 15 is our exterior angle, and that's going to give us 24. So 24 sides on that one. All right. Okay, moving on to the next one. Number 37. So for this problem, it wants you to find the number of sides two different ways. Okay, I explained one of them to you up there, so you can try and figure out which one we were talking about, but it's giving you the interior angle, and you need to find the number of sides. So try out one strategy, okay? If you can't figure out the other one, that's okay, we'll go over both of them. So go ahead and pause the video here, try this one out, take a couple minutes, and then when you're ready, you can restart it. Okay, here is your formulas if you need them. All right, so hopefully you had a chance to try that one out. Let's go ahead and go over it. So the first method is what we did on this problem right here. You found your exterior angle first and then divided that 360 divided by that exterior angle. So that's going to be our first method. We're going to do 180 minus our 120 degrees, okay, and that gives us 60. So that is our exterior angle. If the interior is 120, the exterior is 60 to add up to 180. So now I know that 60 degrees has to fit into 360 a certain number of times. So I'm going to divide 360 divided by 60, okay, and that gives you 6. So that means my number of sides must be 6. So there's our answer. Okay, that's the easy way to do it. Okay, I'm going to show you a harder way. I still want you to write it down, okay, even though it's the harder way. This is the other way you could do it. Since it gives you the interior angle, you could use your interior angle formula and set that number equal to it. Okay, so maybe some of you were kind of thinking about it this way. So you can say, let's get that out of there. Okay, you can say 120 and set that equal to that formula. So let's go ahead and do that. So you've got 180 times n minus 2 divided by n equals 120. Okay, and now you can just solve this and that'll tell you your number of sides. Okay, so the way that you're going to solve this is you would cross multiply. I'm just going to fly through this real quick. Okay, cross multiply, and you would get, I'm going to distribute this 180. Okay, so we get 180n minus 360 equals 120n. Okay, and now I want to get n by itself, so we subtract 180n from both sides. So that cancels, we get negative 360 equals negative 60n. Divide by negative 60. Sorry if I'm covering it up. Divide by negative 60. And you get 6 as well. Okay, so you get the same answer either way. Again, this way is a little bit harder just because you have to solve an equation with it. Okay, I like to do it this way better. Okay, find your exterior angle first and then divide by 360, or 360 divided by that. Okay, all right, flip it over. All right, here's some examples. I want you guys to try these out. I'm not gonna go over these super in depth. I'm just gonna kind of write the answers down. So don't start this part until you guys have tried these, okay? So for each one, it says what I want you to find. So the interior angle sum is 1,980, and wants you to find the number of sides. Okay. And I will say, if it doesn't say it's a regular polygon, I would assume that it is a regular polygon. Okay, just for this lesson. Normally they would say that, but we kind of messed up a couple times on this lesson. Okay, so try these out, and then I'm gonna run through very quickly on how to do these. Okay. All right, pause the video. Okay, so hopefully I had a chance to run through these. I'm gonna go through these real quick. Okay, interior angle sum is 1,980 degrees, and we want to find our number of sides. Okay, so if you know your sum, you can just set that equal to our formula. So 180 times n minus 2 equals 1,980. You just set that equal. Now you solve for n. I'm not going to show my work for solving for this, but you should. Okay, solve for n, and you should get 13 sides. Okay. Another way you could do that one is you could just guess until you find n. Just keep guessing until you plug in 13, and then you would find that it works. Okay. All right, next one. Interior sum is 900. You do the same thing. Okay. Take 180 times n minus 2, set it equal to 900, solve for n. Okay, once you've solved, you should get 7 as your answer. Or again, you guys can just guess. Okay, plug in 5, see what you get. 5 would be too low. Okay, plug in 10. 10's too high. And then eventually you would end up getting 7. Okay, just guess and check until you get the right number. We know we're trying to find the sum. Just make sure you're using the correct formula. So if I want interior angle sum, I'm using this formula right here. Okay. All right, next one. It says the exterior angle is 90. So each exterior angle is 90. We're assuming that this is a regular polygon. Okay. So actually, it doesn't matter. Well, it does actually. It does need to be a regular polygon. Okay, now that I think about it. So it would need to be regular. So for this to work, we're using our each angle and regular polygons formula, which is 360 divided by n. And if you wanted to, you could set it equal, or you know it's just going to be 360 divided by 90. Okay, and that gives you 4. So it's got to have 4 sides. Okay, because all those 90s have to add up to 360. Okay. And then the shape name for this one, this would be a square. If it's a regular polygon, it has to be a square. Okay, letter C. Each angle of a regular pentagon is 2x plus 4. Okay, so this one, it does want you to write an equation, and you can show your work off to the side here. Okay, this one is a bit tough here. Okay. So we know it's a regular pentagon. So what I would do first is I would find the interior angle of a regular pentagon. So I would use my formula for each angle in a regular polygon. So I would use this formula right here, and it's a pentagon, so think about how many sides a pentagon has. That's going to be 5, so plug in 5. So we've got 180 times 5 minus 2 divided by 5, and that ends up giving you 108, I believe. Yep, so 108. Okay, so 108 degrees. Okay, and now I know that each interior angle of a regular polygon they're saying is 2x plus 4, and I'm trying to find x. Well, that's going to be the same thing as my 108 that I had. So you just set those equal. So 2x plus 4 equals 108. Okay, solve this. You guys should know how to solve that. You get 52. Okay, x equals 52. All right, a couple more. Okay, 4 exterior angles of just a pentagon are 57, 74, 56, and 66. So we definitely know it's not regular, otherwise these would all be the same. And we're trying to find the last one. Well, you know that all of our exterior angles always sum to 360 degrees. So all I have to do is figure out that last number so that it equals 360 when you add them all up. And it's a pentagon, so there's only 5 angles. So if you guys can show your work there. I'm not going to on this, just to get this video over with. So the last angle, you would have to have 107 degrees to add up to 360 total. Okay, you guys can show your work. All right, last one, interior sum of an 11 gon. Okay, so that one, you can just use your interior angle formula. And it asks here, does it matter if it's regular or not? It does not for these ones. Okay, this works for all polygons up here. These ones have to be regular polygons, just for those two. These two up here work for all polygons. Okay, so you would be using this formula right here and just plug in 11. So for that, you do 180 times 11 minus 2, and that is 1,620 degrees. Okay. All right. Awesome job, guys. Make sure you're still working hard while I'm gone. Appreciate your hard work. Appreciate whoever's subbing. Thank you for subbing. All right. I'm out.